Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Top Tier Talk. We're going to start with Elliot this week. Arsenal very nearly throwing away 3 points, 2-0 up and cruising. Leicester put it back to 2-2, but thanks to two injury time, winners essentially, Arsenal come out 4-2 winners.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you very much for the intro, Dan. What a win for us. It's always the case, to be fair. When we were at home, we somehow put it out the bag in the 90th minute. Trossard loves doing it. And yeah, we got the 4-2 win. It was absolutely life-saving, in my opinion. To be fair, I want to give it to Leicester, though. They gave Justin had one of the goals of the season so far. He had an absolute great volley for the second goal. Um, but yeah, look, at the end of the day, look, we threw away 2-0 lead, and then we came back and scored two in extra time. But it was quite shaky towards the end because I thought, here we go, 2-1, and then Leicester would be on the charge there, which they did, and then 2-2. I mean, fantastic goal. But to be fair, it was a nice performance from both teams, to be fair. I think Leicester, it was quite hard for Jamie Vardy to kind of get into the game. I think Saliba locked him up pretty well. Indeed, he played pretty well, but I think, as I say, Rice and Partey locked him up pretty well as well. So it was quite, in my opinion, quite like good for both teams. But then I think, as I say, we came out on top, and we always have that mojo towards the end of the game where kind of teams drop off and hopefully hope for the best for a draw. When you come to the Emirates, obviously you think, oh, here we go, 90th minute, let's quickly see it out, and then we go on the aggro for the last five and manage to get two extra goals. But the thing is, as well, is it's funny because obviously this is the talking point again, but indeed, he kicking the ball out of play, no yellow card, and everyone's backing it as a no yellow card decision. But okay, here's what it is. Guess what? If it's an Arsenal player, if he's wearing red and white, then it's an automatic yellow card. But to be fair, look, nothing left to say. As I say, I went into this game. I'm assuming I said it to you guys last week as well. Pretty comfortable. It was quite shaky, as I say, towards the 88th minute when I'm thinking, holy crap, we're in trouble here. But we secured the deal, and now we go on to PSG tomorrow at home again. Big team PSG, Champions League. Um, it's nice actually. To be fair, I think we're having a lot of good luck at the moment. Hopefully, fingers crossed and touch wood that continues because there was a bit of a scare for Calafiori when he celebrated that goal with Trossard. He turned a bit and then his left knee went, was it, or something like that? So I hope that's good that he's still in training with our first team and hopefully in contention for the PSG game. Mikel Merino's now apparently in contention for the PSG game, which is absolutely great news. It'd be good to see him on for like 20 minutes towards the end of the game if we're winning 2-3-0. If we're winning 2-3-0, as I say, PSG's a hard opponent, so it could be a different one. But yeah, look, as I say, there's nothing really kind of wrong at the moment. I guess like the next game we got is Southampton. Is it away or at home? And then we go against Ramsdale, which will be fun because we'll see Ben White's dark arts, even though Ramsdale knows about the dark arts. But yeah, look, there's nothing much to say really. As I say, we played a good game. I think there was obviously a few things here and there that we need to touch on. Passing wise, we need to really kind of ace on that. But pressing wise, we were absolutely amazing. Um, with 11 men this time, obviously on the offensive. Everyone's obviously having their flame against us for saying, oh, they have 10 men against City and they push back. Oh my God, how dare they? But then obviously when you see other teams, suppose I'm bringing you into this when you see Man United, you had 10 men and you still went for it, but then it kind of shot you in the foot a bit. So obviously you eat your own words when you see stuff like that because then you see stuff when you basically follow on to what the people want, but then it goes horribly wrong. So yeah, as I say, life is good as an Arsenal fan. Let's hope it continues into the tomorrow game at 8 o'clock and then on the weekend as well.
Just obviously you touched on. I don't think we covered this last week, obviously, because it was around the Europa League fixtures. What are your thoughts on Spurs' Twitter admin going? We had 10 men and still played our game. Well, what are your thoughts towards the Spurs admin or the Spurs as a football club or anything like that? Have you got a few words to say
Not at
with
all,
it?
mate. I don't compare myself to like mid-table teams. It's funny because obviously we don't care. If they want, and then Man City fans as well, trying to compare
Still
it as
both on the
well.
same level, by the way. Still won the same number of trophies, so it's not like it's a big difference between the two clubs.
I have
But
no, I pay no attention to Spurs anymore. They're not even the same kind of league as us anymore. We're here and they're like here competing with West Ham and Fulham. It's nothing to do with us down.
Brighton and
Honestly, they
them,
can
man.
throw as many shots as they want, but we beat them in their own home turf when we've lost about three players. Like
Literally,
that's
2 weeks before they made the
you
tweet.
could go on their Twitter tomorrow and say Arsenal is shit. They are the worst team in the world, and not a single Arsenal fan will be like, okay, who cares? You're like here. I promise you,
Oh,
there's no contention right now for a competition. Like they will come to us and probably batter them 4-0.
we're gonna, we're
Touch
gonna.
wood. Touch wood.
I was gonna get in touch with it. I was gonna say,
It's gonna come back and
I'll
bite
keep
me
the
in the
clip.
arse now. It's gonna
I'll
get.
keep that. I'll keep that clip just for whenever it was.
Yeah, no,
February, March rolls around.
as I say, look, I'm pretty happy with what we've got at the moment. Like it's nice to have this feeling where the contenders to come against us. And as I say, I'd say, if not all games that come to the Emirates, I'm pretty confident we'd win. We still got Man City to come to us, and I'm pretty confident we'd win that at home. We've got PSG tomorrow at home. PSG are one of the best teams in France. I reckon we'll win it tomorrow at home. Do you not think, Chavez? I saw that face a bit
No, you
kind of
just
scratched
said
up.
one of the best teams in France. I hope so.
They're the only team in France.
Yeah,
What?
we know
What
what
do
he
you mean?
meant. We know what he
Eh,
means.
No, I don't think you meant it. You just said PSG are one of the best teams in France. You meant the
Yeah.
world.
Well, to be well, yeah, the world anyway. But just what I'm saying is, like, any team that kind of comes to us at home who's like probably up there, I reckon we have a good chance against at home. Like the levels, I don't know. It's nice being an Arsenal fan. I mean, you compare it to 4 years ago. It's completely different levels when we had lockdown with Staffy and David Luiz at the back. It was quite shaky, but here we are. We've got through it. I had to endure it when you boys were mugging me off in school as an Arsenal fan, but we come out on the other side better.
We still mug you off, mate. You're not going to win the league. It's not
We'll
like
see about
anything's
that
changed.
sunshine this season, mate.
Yeah, but nothing's going to change though. So it's like
We'll
we're going to
see.
still.
What? So if
There's
we
a,
win the league, you can still mug me off. How's that work?
Obviously not if you win the league, but I don't think
Well,
you're.
yeah,
I think I
exactly.
still mug you off though.
Nah, not
think
at all.
maybe you touched on 4 years ago. You were struggling with David Luiz. 4 years ago, Chelsea were winning the Champions League. Last weekend, beat Brighton 4-2. Cole Palmer carrying your team for what looks to be a second season in a row. Take it away, Amir.
That is greatness right there. Cole Palmer is greatness. Like 2 years in a row. I mean, 4 goals. I think the only player to score four goals in the first half of the game. Yeah, what a exciting first half. I mean, 6 goals. Defensive mistakes from Chelsea, which we expect. We're going to be outscoring other teams. And Jackson as well. Jackson's been playing really well. His whole game looks like he's improved his IQ. I mean, even for the first goal, instead of shooting and he held the ball, passed it to Palmer to score a tap in. I mean, there's a lot of good decision making going on. I'm really happy with Jackson at the moment. But Cole Palmer, guys, obviously definitely has to be
Better than
Evans.
Foden at the moment.
Better than Saka as well at the moment. Like
Two
they're
different positions.
both right wingers.
Us. What? He's playing there in the middle for you.
He plays right wing as well. He's more effective than Saka.
It's not true, but anyway.
Do you know what is clocked? And I saw this on the Overlap podcast, and you guys all agree with me. Like, it was just a Chelsea segment, obviously.
Most
Very
football podcast. Actually, no, we're hearing that.
quickly, Chelsea. I'll round it up because there's not much to it. Yeah, I don't think I can't. I'm not going to say we're back this that because we're probably going to lose next
Say it.
week. No, I'm not going to say because I'm realistic, but we're doing well at the moment. It's much better than what I predicted. Um, Obviously conceding goals, defensive shit. We all know that. Blah blah blah. But back to bloody Arsenal and stuff. Why is it that Arsenal fans can't take criticism of any of their players? Have you clocked that the only fan base that's so insecure? It's like you can't say anything bad about Arsenal. Apparently,
When you're
all
big,
of
you're
you
big.
guys
We're
can.
talking about Chelsea and you're mentioning Arsenal. Come on.
No, because you bring up you're getting butthurt over the Saka comment. Like it's true. Like I'd admit if Saka was the best right wing in the Prem, but you get
He
butthurt
is.
when it's an Arsenal player. No, but you're getting butthurt, L. He's
I'm not
not
about
though,
her.
is he?
Right, talk
Is
about
he?
the
Yeah,
game.
talk about the game. Yeah,
There's not much more
Enough
to it.
about Arsenal in the Chelsea segment,
yeah.
Amir.
When
Come
you're
on, come
big,
on.
you're big.
You're not big though. You're
See,
not big.
how did
But
Chelsea
like,
play him here?
huh? Chelsea played very
Well,
well. We outscored the other team. We won, got 3 points, top four. We'll probably get top four. That's it.
okay. I was going to say a word on Brighton because they did beat us and they look good. Whoever operates makes the decisions of Brighton. They're very good because this manager, Hersler, whatever his name is, he seems very good. He's already got them playing in a certain type of way. And once he gets a couple of seasons recruitment, centre backs, DM, and strengthens up that back, they look very good. Man, I thought every time they got the ball, they just worked their way through you. And I know we can laugh at your defense as well, but they still have to do that. And they did it quite comfortably. And they just
Yeah,
don't
but I
have
thought we could have.
one
I thought at the
billion.
back. I thought at the back we always had a man open and free. I think we should have scored more goals. I mean, Cole Palmer should have had 5 or 6. So whatever they're doing up front, they're hurting themselves at the back for the amount of
Yeah. I mean, they don't have the
counter.
profiles right now. They don't have Caicedo. They don't have what they used to have, basically. So, I mean, once he gets a season or two, clearly Brighton signed good players because even their left back, the one they got, he was brilliant at the Euros. They look good. Whoever makes the decisions, Brighton's, they know ball.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. It's hard because you look at teams like that. Speaking from obviously, I know we're not Premier League, but like, I'd I'd probably say like the lower clubs. It's almost like a best of the rest. It's a fight to finish in between seventh and tenth between your sort of your West Ham and your
Chelsea.
even your I'll include them
United.
as the top
Still
six.
haven't won the
But
Premier
you,
League.
you know what I mean.
Still
You know
haven't
what I
won the
mean.
Premier League.
It's
Rattled when one of their players gets compared, and it's not the best right winger, by the way. Rattled, by the way.
I was going to say my point was they have to then now make the right decisions, otherwise it's costly. You look at quite a lot of teams that come straight up in the
But
champ, go straight
what
back
right
down again.
decisions they're a feeder club? What right decisions can they make?
Just keep
How are they
keep
going to
the.
sell to that next? Unless they get funding off
That's
like a
how they
very
make funding. They'll sign like a
make
Caicedo
funding. But
that will
where's
keep
the
the
progression?
club.
If you're a feeder club, like you remember Southampton back in the day, like where is the progression if your best player is always going to get sold for more money, and then you're going to have to wait a couple of years for the next one to get sold and that? Where is the
But
progression?
it is investment, but it's also until you get to that point,
Investment, but how do they then make that step without
they can't without overspending and breaking rules. This is the thing. There's a
Invest
massive gap
investment from
between
the Middle
top
East.
six. Yeah, there's
so
a
then they
massive
can't
gap
do
between
it?
the top six and seventh to 20th. There's there's minimal chance unless Newcastle, you look, were what Championship 4 or 5 years ago, and now they've had a massive investment and they played the Champions League. Like Brighton and who am I thinking? Well, West Ham have obviously been European competition, but again, the amount of money that's been thrown at them clubs is ridiculous. Just to not even get to the top level of English football, like there's
That's
no space for them. There's no space for other
interesting.
clubs.
I think it goes. I think
You
it's
didn't even
goes
go
in.
to
I think it's a
England.
bit of both, really. Like sometimes you've got. I understand where you're coming from. It's all most of it is generally money. I'd say 80% is money, but sometimes you've got to have like the good product coming out of your club as well and a good team morale. Like Chavez, for example. Chavez, you probably admit this pretty easily. The team morale at Man United is pretty shit at the moment. So you could sign a prime Ronaldo, prime Messi, and prime Neymar, and it'd probably still go to shit as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that
Well,
gives
that's
us a
with
nice
every
sort of.
next manager in charge who's been let, who've the board and the upper manager have let him do what he wants, and it's obviously been not correct. There's all these Ajax players and stuff. It's not been correct. It's not good. It is.
No, I mean we can
But
go
I
into
think
United and
I was gonna
uh,
say, I was gonna say Chavez before we get into.
raring to get into it. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, but before we get into your thoughts on your unfortunate game week this week, last week we did a combined 11 and it was heavily Manchester United. I've got a feeling that's going to change. But Chavez, based on your thoughts in the group chat after this game, this one is directed at you. So last week we went with Onana in goal. Are you sticking with him?
Yeah, of course. He was outstanding.
Mazraoui at right back.
Thought he was okay. Still think he's better than Porro. He was one of the okay people. It's just is what it is.
We had Van der Ven and De Ligt at centre back.
Yeah, Van der Ven wins that. It's just outstanding.
Well, are you keeping De Ligt in the team
No,
based on Sunday's game? So who then
no.
goes in?
Van der Ven probably got the best assist of the season.
Well, we had Van der Ven and De Ligt in, so.
Oh, okay. Whoever the other centre back was, Romero almost scored a bicycle kick against us.
Dallo at right back, left back, sorry.
No, Udogie was actually
Udogie was very
not
good. Yeah,
just because of like Dallo being bad. Udogie was actually very good.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Moving on to the midfield, Bruno.
No, Madison absolutely just showed Ugarte what the Premier League is. He was laughing throughout the game. If you saw Madison, he was just smiling throughout the whole game.
Moving on to the next player, Madison. Was obviously, I'm presuming, staying in the
He
team.
was already in. Whoever. To be fair, then what do you do there? Because I don't think Tottenham's two DMs were that good.
Who are they? Two DMs. Who was it?
I don't
Bentancur
know.
and
Bentancur, he was okay. I
Papa no?
don't even remember who the other one was.
Was it
Too
not?
worried
Was
about
it not?
Martin.
There's a lot of concerns going on at your team, to be fair. And then, who else do we have in the midfield?
Just whoever it was, clean sweep midfield. No one deserves to be in there.
Oh, there's Mino as well,
what?
obviously going off with an injury. Ahmad on the right.
Mine. Well, we'll get to it.
Didn't play. Didn't play. Garnacho started because we abandoned our principles. But yeah, whoever their right wing was, Kulusevski wasn't that great, but yeah.
Xerxes up front.
Nope.
Just a note. And Son on the left.
Son was injured.
Obviously, was
Werner
injured.
played. I don't even want to put Werner in. You might. Like, the thing is, no one even. Thing is, you just have no one there. No one
Can
deserves
we
to
just
be.
leave a blank spot on left wing?
No one deserves to be there.
Nope. Now take it away. Man
I was going to
United
say,
nil,
Chavez. I was going
Spurs
to talk
3.
about like Rashford when he was just, as you mentioned about that Van der Ven assist. Like Marcus Rashford gave it way too easily for that challenge.
Yeah. So we had two games. One was FA20. I won't spend that much time because that was everyone's forgotten about that. We drew 1-1. Again, there was no systematic red flags in that game. Defended well. We had one bad moment where a player just ran for our whole team. and Ericsson made a mistake and they scored. And aside from that, we controlled the game. We should have scored more. The only systematic issue up to this point this season was we're not finishing our chances. Everything else tactically, control in and out of possession has been good, barring the Liverpool game. And I'll tell you, the Liverpool game you'll see is a very big similarity to the Tottenham game because we did two very similar things. So Arnie Slot's in season one of his project and Andrew's in season two. And for both those games, we decided let's abandon our entire principle and let's let the other team have possession because we admit they are better than us with the ball. And yeah, we did that. We decided to go from the counter. We were very clearly instructed to hold back against Tottenham and wait for the counter. Don't understand why we have to do that. If there is a process and Ten Hag doesn't trust it himself, then what's the point? Why am I, as a fan, expected to do that? I feel a bit betrayed after 3 years. Because I've really sort of supported the manager. I've supported everything that he's doing, and it's not completely blindly. He's come with his mistakes. Anthony in no scenario is ever going to be a good signing, and he doesn't even get himself. He's not even an option in these games where we need goals. And yeah, I mean, you can work through it. In that game, Ahmad didn't play straight away. That you're conceding that we're not going to keep the ball in this game. Ericsson didn't play. He's been great up to this point. Ugarte got thrown in for his first, I think, second or third start. He's not good enough. He was just thrown in for the Dogs. And yeah, it's a shame because I thought we did okay with the new thing that we were doing, most big chances created, and I think people will forget that. Fair enough because it's 3-0. And what happened in both those games, we lost 3-0 at Old Trafford to Arne Slot and to what's his face, Ange. And I don't think Tottenham are that good. That's the biggest thing. We've had so many calamitous results. I mean, we're losing count here, right? But if you remember, this is the most XG we've conceded at Old Trafford ever amongst all of that. It's because Tottenham didn't finish their chances and Onana had a good game. That was worse than all of those games. I've only ever seen, I think, two Man United games worse than that. One was the one right before Watford with Ollie, where we played Man City at Old Trafford. We were not competing in that game. That's probably the worst I've ever seen. And Louis van Gaal back in, I think it was whatever year he was in, we lost to Norwich on Boxing Day or something around then, and it was a new record. Those two games, this was Ten Hag's worst game ever. The first 30 minutes of that game are the worst I've ever seen from a Man United team in my life. And it's unfortunate. It's betrayal because we deserved it. Um, Now you have to look at the bigger picture. It's 6 games in. Every team that's ahead of us is in a position that they shouldn't be. So I mean, I can work through them. Who's top? Liverpool. Arne Slot's in his first season of his project. He has no right being ahead of us. He is. Second and third, fair enough. Arsenal, Man City, no one's going to blame us for being behind them. We've got fourth place Chelsea and Maresca, no reason to be ahead of us. Unacceptable. Season one of his project. Unai Emery is in the exact same season of his project as Ten Hag, season three. He's ahead of us. Fulham's manager. Fair enough. He's in the one season ahead. Spent way less money. It wasn't even in the Prem, I think, when he came, Marco Silva. Newcastle, one season ahead, spent significantly less. Tottenham, as we said, second season. Brighton's manager, they're ahead of us, one season. You can go on. Forest in season four, one season ahead, less money. Bournemouth are in season two and they're ahead of us with Iraola, who's a great manager, by the way. Brentford are in year six. Fair enough.
What
They just
position are
started in the
you?
Prem.
My God.
We are down in 13th. So unfortunately, as much as I don't want the manager sacked, I still don't want the manager sacked, by the way. And the reason for that is because the moment that happens, I don't think United fans are realizing the moment Ten Hag gets sacked, it's over. Like this 3 years that we did, we committed, we got these Ajax players, as Amir said. That next manager is not getting any new bounce. He's going to have to rebuild, and we now need to give the next manager 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know. I don't know. Omar Barada said 2028, right? So I mean, you see what the mindset is around that club. If you're telling your manager 2028, then good luck trying to inspire
Yeah, but
people
how
to win
much more
trophies
can
in the
you
next couple of
endure
years.
though, this manager? You keep saying I'm still not Ten Hag out. Like, what is your breaking point? Because
You know what it is,
what
Amir?
is
There's
it?
no one
What is your
available.
break?
I don't see, I don't see anyone coming in and doing anything better than what Ten Hag is doing right
Yeah,
now.
but
As
why
strange as that
though?
sounds,
How do you know? How do you know there'll be not a manager coming in who will surprise you? Why? But you're just going off based on CVs
these
and
are
comparing Ten
these are
Hag.
his signings. There's only one man in the entire world right now that's going to get the best out of Anthony, and that's Ten Hag. If he goes, that
But is it
100
though?
million
Because he
pounds.
hasn't. Yeah, but why is it though? Because he hasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't. You're right, but he's got a
So how
contract.
can
We gave him a
how can it
certain
be the
amount of
best
years,
if he
Amir.
hasn't?
We,
Hmm?
I think we should stick it through. Obviously, fair enough. If we lose, I think the next 2 games are important. If we lose them, the players are not fighting for him. Then there's no point. You might as well sack him and get someone in purely off of motivation. The problem is, I don't think these players have given up on him. As strange as that sounds, I don't actually think there's been the downing of tools you saw at the Vicarage
Well,
when we gave up. I don't. I personally, because I think that first half was just tactical. It was actually shocking on Ten Hag's part. It was not anything to do with the players. They were set up to die when they've clearly played a certain way and it's worked. I know we haven't got the results. It just didn't. He abandoned it. He doesn't trust. This my biggest problem now is the reason I feel betrayed is because he doesn't trust his own process. He's not the tactics he has. The Ultimate Man United team isn't allowed to play when they play against Ange or Arnie Slot. I don't get that. What's so fearful about them? So it's almost done. I think if Porto, okay, I'll tell you now. I think in the first 20 minutes against Porto, we'll know if this manager is done. Because if those players don't come out, if we concede early, I'm telling you now, he's going to get sacked. Because after Villa, we have an international break, so they'll get Ruud van Nistelrooy. He'll get like a couple of weeks to train with the players, and we'll be back again. And I promise you now, I will give Ruud van Nistelrooy 3 years before he can clear this up. I don't expect Ruud van Nistelrooy to win me the Premier League in 2 years, 3 years, maybe in the fourth year.
2028.
The same fans who want Ten Hag out now, it's it hurts my brain because you're going to see Ten Hag highest win percentage to be sacked after post Fergie. Ten Hag 2 trophies. Remember Ten Hag ball in that period in February when we beat Barcelona. It's all going to come back and it's the same people. So I just already feel sick. I've seen it. We've seen so much people. People in the last week have said we let Ollie down. Ollie lost 6-1 to these lot at Old Trafford. People forget. So you can want him out now. Just accept that 3 years went down the drain and we needed a 4 or 5 more. So you're happy
Shabez,
to do that. Do it. If you
Shabez,
think
I got a
that,
question about your players when you mentioned they're still technically fighting for the manager, which you say you don't know how. I just wanted to kind of bring up a couple of things that happened in the game. You got the likes of Marcus Rashford pulling out of challenges and kind of not playing to his expected standard, and you've got Kobe Mino coming off the pitch when the sub wasn't even made or just walking down the tunnel. Um, I guess obviously my question is when you see those players like that, for example, obviously key players just doing that, would you think they think they're like bigger than what the Ten Hag can get for them, for example?
well, I mean, Rashford is one player who cannot say that because he's now worked with a lot of managers and got his best period under this manager. So I don't believe that. I think what happened with Van der Ven, fair enough, he was lazy in the first moment, but what Van der Ven did after that was ridiculous. I think he deserves more praise than anyone deserves criticism, Rashford especially. Obviously, I personally blame Agate for that goal. I think as a DM, you can't allow a centre back to run the whole way, and he just watched him. Agate for me, completely passive. Ericsson's, and this is factual. I don't want you to edit this video. Ericsson did have a heart attack and did pass away for a certain amount of time and came back. And I promise you, Ericsson looks less passive on a pitch than Agate. That's a big problem when you're a defensive midfielder. If there's one thing you can't be as a defensive midfielder, you can't be passive, and that's what Agate is, and that sickens me because if there's one praise you can give any DM, regardless of how bad they are, name the worst one you can think of, you would never call them passive. Ogate is passive on a pitch. How? How are you a defensive midfielder if you are that? So, and I
It's
don't
almost
want
like
to
he'd be better off just running around like a headless chicken because at least, as you said, then he looks like he's doing something.
get
He's just
sent
being
off. It would be so
proactive.
nice to see him get sent off and show that he tackled and he cared to tackle and like he was brave enough to do that. Yeah, and I like Mount came on. I thought Mount was good by the way. I know Mount's been getting a bit of abuse because he got subbed
I
off. Well,
forgot
he
about
went off
Mason
because
Mount, man. I forgot about Mason
but
Mount.
the fact that he's number 7, the fact he posted on social media saying he's okay and that everything's going to be okay, it's not going to be okay, man. You need to perform. You're number 7 for the club. He's going to get a chance now as well with Bruno out. And yeah, I'm telling you now, it's never been more over than it is now as a fan. And the moment he gets sacked, people will celebrate in our fan base. But we're all Man United fans, and we'll all, at the end of the day, realize that 3.5 years just went down the drain.
Shabez, question on the Bruno red card. Yes or no?
It's not a red card, but I really hope they don't overturn. There's no need to be proactive here. Man United shouldn't even appeal it. They should be embarrassed that the game happened and the way Bruno played. Just let him stay off for 3 games because we need Bruno's had 3 bad games in a row. Bruno, for some reason, you know how I was saying playing with consequences, that doesn't apply to him for some reason, and I hate that. I'd love for a bit more consistency. He deserves to be dropped. He won't be. He won't be dropped against Porto. So it's best if he just stays banned. And we give Mount a chance in the attacking midfield or Ericsson. Ericsson's been okay recently. And yeah, no praise to Tottenham, by the way. I
Oh
understand Ange
yeah.
is only in his second season. Defensively shocking. There was a part where we controlled the game with 10 men, unbelievably bad finishing. Timo Werner should not be starting in that team, shouldn't be anywhere near a Premier League team. Midfield was okay, to be fair. Madison was good. Finishing was poor. Solanke didn't play well. I know he scored and did his anime celebration, didn't have a good game. He's not going to have a successful career at Tottenham in 2 years. He's going to be gone. There's a lot of players at that club that aren't good enough. And it's understandable because Ange is only in his second season. He knows himself better than all of us. He needs to make changes to that team because what he is, he's a great manager. He's an unbelievable manager. You see exactly what Ange wants to play, whether it's 10 men, 9 men. I know we joke about it and they joke about it, but you see exactly what his blueprint is, and he's doing it regardless of who he's got.
I think that sort of wraps this week up, I suppose. Really, there's no other major referee errors or talking points, or was there? Have we missed anything
Referee
out?
errors.
Well, that's
Arsenal
usually
might
it.
get
Unless you want to talk about that indeed,
Arsenal
he
might
kicks
get
the
a lead.
ball off the pitch and doesn't
There we
get a
go. Here
caution
it
for
is.
it.
Victim card again. Victim card again. There we go.
Oh, he
The-
It's not
won.
victim
Okay.
cards.
I
It's
mean,
not.
There's always a
I don't know
victim
if you
card
know,
in
but the
Arsenal.
Leicester keeper almost beat De Gea's record against
I
Arsenal.
know he played an
The
absolutely
most saves. Yeah.
Craig Gay here. I know he's doing my fucking head in. He wasn't just. He was so good. He was just saving everything. Everything was great, and he just kept putting a hand to it. Couldn't fault him. But then we managed to find a way in the past 90 minutes.
Yeah, I suppose we've got one more game week before the international break, so we will see you next week before we miss our clubs for yet another week. For
On
what?
holiday.
3 weeks after our last international break? It's ridiculous. Thank you very much for watching, and until next week, goodbye.